What's going on, guys? So a father's masculinity is being called fragile. We're going to go right into this frustrating situation of a father seeing his son in a dress costume during playtime at what I presume is daycare. But before we do, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and unfortunately, check this out.
Let that be the first and last time I see you do that, please. Take that off. Take that off immediately.
Oh, here, I'll help you. I'll help you. Take it up, take it up.
And you guys never ever let my son put a dress on, ever.
Okay.
Ever, ever, ever. You understand me? Like ever. Like ever.
Yeah. No problem. No worries. You gotta do that. First time and last time. Yeah, first time and last time.
Ever.
So that was the video. Now, when I saw this video, the first thing I noticed, and I'll pull it back up, the framing of this was a father's fragile masculinity is tested when he sees his son in a dress costume during playtime. Fragile? Well, let me first off give kudos to him in how calm he was.
100%.
And he was firm, very firm about it, but very
Respectful.
calm. He wasn't, he may have said never a bunch of times, but he was very calm, very firm in his words, because he wanted to make sure, like, that they understood that, what are you doing? In what way do you see this as appropriate behavior for you to allow my son to operate in? To me, it's mind-blowing how we talk about tolerance and things. And again, I mean, we're a Christian channel. It's so funny how, like, you know, people are not tolerant to, like, Christians and what we believe in, our values and things like that. And how they just are very quick to just, like, impose, like, gender fluidity type things on our children who don't even know what they understand or what they feel or can even comprehend their feelings about anything. They're just trying to have fun. It's playtime. And he's in a dress, and he's the only. It's not like a whole bunch of boys in there are in a dress. It's randomly you come in, and your son is the one that's in a dress. And I give him credit for keeping his cool. I think he came across as firm, but like I said, calm at the same time. As calm as anyone you could imagine could be in a situation like that, where you see your son doing something that's just completely not congruent with your parenting, your values, what you believe, your view of masculinity. And he gets called fragile for this. And I just think that just kind of goes to show you the type of world that we live in, where because you have a certain viewpoint of men and women and whether a man should wear a dress or not, or how gender is performed and things like that, now all of a sudden, because you have a heteronormative, as they would call it, viewpoint of that, even if it's like influenced by religion, that's not to be tolerated. So you're just, the default now just needs to be gender fluid type stuff, and that gets to get imposed onto children. And that's where people have a big issue. When we talk about adults and things like that, and I get some people are inconsistent, some people don't want to see adults doing these type of things either. I get that. My stance has always been, you know, at the end of the day, while I have a belief, I'm not going to, like, I don't impose morality on those that aren't in the faith. Like, it's not my place, you know, even if I have a viewpoint of it. But when you talk about children, that's where people usually get frustrated, and that's where they get in uproar. And you can just see the agenda of these platforms when they call this fragile masculinity. No, it's not even about his masculinity. It's about you imposing something onto a child that clearly doesn't fit him. Let's say he wanted to put the dress on himself. That's not something that you just allow in that type of instance, because you don't know if that agrees with their parenting. You don't know if the kid doesn't know what, he probably isn't thinking much about it. But generally speaking, it just comes off like pushing ideology to people as they're trying to form their worldview. And this is a lot of the reason why a lot of people aren't putting their kids in daycare. They're not putting their kids in public school systems and all of those different things. Now, there's a fair critique of saying, like, how can you see change in these areas if you take all of the Christians and the people that have these beliefs out? Wouldn't it be better to have Christians in them and actually go to the board meetings and actually have the conversation and the debate versus fleeing all the time? And I think that's a very fair pushback.
Now, let me answer that one.
Go ahead. Well, let me finish this last point. Let me wrap this up. I think that's a fair pushback. But what I would say is, no, I think if you can't have it both ways. If Christians aren't allowed to push ideology, you shouldn't be allowed to push it either. Those are kind of my thoughts on it. I got a lot I could say, but I want to kind of get your thoughts.
Yeah. To answer your question 100%, people start to listen when you start hurting their pockets, period. Okay?
Right. That's true.
They up here trying to push this, whatever it is. No, you stop sending your kids to that daycare, you stop sending your kids to that school, their funding goes down. Their points go down. So, yes, you are still getting the point across if you decide not to send your child there because they are not doing right by them in your eyes. It's your money.
Yeah.
It's your decisions, period. Yeah, them calling him fragile, I don't think so. Like, that's
No.
your opinion. He did not want his son in there. He was 100% right because that's his father, and he is a child. He's a minor.
Yeah, they're not the parents, and that's the thing that's frustrating. They're not the parents of that child. They don't get to in anything short of abuse, of course. They don't get to have a voice in that. That's the thing I don't think a lot of people get. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I mean, even with those situations, as an educator, I know it's certain steps you got to take. So
certain steps.
They don't just get to take things in their authority. They owe him a huge apology. Like, I'm talking about a letter. Whoever is the head person at this daycare or whatever, they owe a formal apology because it was totally out of pocket. It wasn't right. And, she was just like, yep, first time, last time. I don't even know if it was the first time. I don't even know if I believe that at all. It seemed like, he came there maybe just to check on him, or he came there and they were showing them something and he noticed that they decided to put him in this. So he was just like, no. Take it. Because they were all kind of in a circle as if they were watching something. So, no, 100%. He's right. He has the right to do that. That's his child.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I look at it.
Yeah.
And I guess, just to close on this topic, I think at the end of the day, I just don't like. Okay, let me take a step back. I think in response to him, I think what they said was good. Like, they were like, never again, won't happen again. It was like, they kept it short, sweet. They weren't trying to argue or defend it or act like he was out of pocket for how he felt about that. I think they came off like, yeah, maybe this kind of crossed the line here. We can see how this is.
You think?
We don't have all the context of how this transpired. We don't know if the kid just put it on himself. We don't know if they encouraged it. We don't have all those variables. So I want to be as charitable as I can about what I don't know. I'll do some more digging on this. But it's just on surface looking at it. And what I really cared more about was the commentary surrounding it and what some people were trying to say. Now, the overwhelming commentary I saw was that, hey, this is out of pocket. There was nothing fragile about this man. Like that's just complete nonsense for you to think that it's fragile in his masculinity to feel that way about his kid who's still shaping his worldview. The kid doesn't know. He's focusing on what show he's gonna watch or what he's gonna get for lunch and things like that. Like a very simple thing. He's not thinking about how he wants to present himself or his performance of masculinity, all those different things. It's important for those people that are in those positions to allow the kid a safe environment to grow in those things, whether it's masculinity or femininity. You want to have a protected place where masculinity isn't just presented as bullying or just because I play sports and I throw things and all that. You want to give healthy representation of those things because that's not necessarily masculinity, and femininity isn't all about being soft and delicate and all of that. Just that, it's more layers to it. I think you need to create a safe environment for masculinity and femininity to exist. With this, you just have to be mindful that there are going to be people of various different beliefs, views, and all that, and how to coexist in the most healthiest way, I think, should be at the forefront of all of this. I'm not saying that this is easy, but I do think that these type of situations come off real jarring, and I think we need to have more conversation. We can't always be afraid to have these conversations about it and have people from viewpoints like ours as followers of Christ who are completely in support without even knowing the faith of the father and what his beliefs are with that. I think he's completely justified to feel, an uproar about that. And I think like I said, I commend him for keeping his cool. But you got anything else you want to add?
No, that's it.
So those are our thoughts on this. We'd love to know what you all think. Before you head out, make sure you like this video if you enjoyed this, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell and leave a comment and let us know your thoughts.